WYSL.
Welcome to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce, made possible with support from presenting sponsor Collette. Each month, we'll feature business and community leaders sharing their stories, initiatives, concerns, and passions. Learn practical information regarding community resources and opportunities. Now, the host of Business Voice, Greece Regional Chamber President and CEO, Sarah Lentini.
Hi, this is Sarah Lentini. Welcome to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce, sponsored by Collette. We've got a great show for you today with three wonderful guests, starting with Mike Caceci of Excellerated Performance, then Mike Trippany from WCI Realty, and we're following up with John Adams of FranNet of Western and Central New York. All three have terrific information for you as members of the lay public, as well as anybody in the listening audience who's a business owner. So please stick around. We'll be right back.
In 2018, visit exciting U.S. and international destinations with the Greece Regional Chamber in partnership with Collette. They've done all the planning and negotiating for you so you can put the fun back in. 2018 tours include America's Cowboy Country, South Africa, Spain and Portugal, and the Treasures of Tuscany. Visit the Greece Regional Chamber today. Go online or call 585-227-7272 to find out about their upcoming presentations. Take the trip of a lifetime. Again, that's 585-227-7272.
Griswold Home Care is dedicated to keeping the heart at home by referring caregivers who are passionate about helping aging or disabled adults live independently at home. If your goal is to remain at home, we can refer compassionate caregivers you can trust. Whether you are recovering from a hospital stay, injury, or illness, or you need help caring for a spouse or parent, let Griswold Home Care help you reduce the anxiety and stress during this time. Compassion is our passion. Call 1-800-GRISWOLD or visit griswoldhomecare.com.
If you're looking to market and grow your business, make new business connections, and give back to the community in a meaningful way, consider joining the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce. We're the largest suburban chamber in Monroe County, and we offer networking, education, marketing, insurance, and advocacy. You do not need to live or work in Greece to join. Our members come from throughout the region. In short, we're better together, and together, we're moving business forward. Visit greecechamber.org or call 585-227-7272 to join today.
Tune in anywhere. Live streaming to PCs and mobile devices at WYSL1040.com.
Welcome back. I'm Sarah Lentini, and you're listening to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce sponsored by Collette. I'm delighted to welcome our first guest, somebody I've known for quite some time. I was very active in the business community, Mike Caceci of Excellerated Performance. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Sarah. Great to be here.
Terrific. Mike, you've been the owner the founding owner of Excellerated Performance for quite a number of years now. You want to tell us a little bit about Excellerated Performance?
Sure. Well, I started the business in 2001, and I have somewhat of a unique story because I started it while I still had a corporate career. I'm a transplant to Rochester. I moved to Rochester in 1992 for a promotion with Xerox, and life was coming along nicely. Until, as many of your listeners would know, Xerox had some problems in the late 1990s, early 2000s. And basically what started as a job search transitioned into a decision to stay with the company and start a business with company permission, in which I was very appreciative of the fact that Xerox allowed me to start a part-time consulting and professional development business while I continued to work in my management roles at Xerox.
Yeah, in fact, I think that's right around the time that I met you when you were starting the company.
I was into it a few years, but you were at another position in Rochester at the time, and we had an opportunity to work together while I was still at Xerox.
That's right. That was great.
Yeah.
It's really nice to see how far along the company has come, too, because at this point, I think you've got a few people working with you, right? I
have people I collaborate with, but I've worked with over 50 organizations to this point in my business. So what I do is business consulting, professional development, and also Lean Six Sigma process improvement, which I added after I left Xerox. It was a skill one of the many skills I acquired at Xerox, and was able to get certified in that. and I added it to my portfolio of services. So I do strategic planning work, professional training and development in sales, management, leadership, and other areas. And then I added Lean Six Sigma consulting and project management when I left.
Now, what is Lean Six Sigma for those of us who might not know?
It's really basically a methodology and a set of tools and methods to make processes more efficient and effective, originating with manufacturing, but now it's applied to many service organizations. If you're in the banking business, hotel business, any kind of service-based business, information technology, companies use it to basically lean out waste and inefficiency and eliminate the chance of making errors. And it's really all designed to make your business a better managed and run business.
Well, that sounds very relevant.
And the focus is on the customer.
Wonderful. So how do you've got quite a lot of customers. Are they mostly small businesses, mid-sized,
I've worked
large?
with all size businesses in many different industries. I've worked with, obviously, for-profit businesses in manufacturing, retail. I've worked with healthcare. I've worked with in government and law enforcement, Rochester Police Department and Fire Department, New York State agencies. I've worked with the Rochester Transit System.
Right.
Skilled nursing facilities, human services, business services.
Really broad.
So I've got quite a few brand names, and I'm very proud of that. A few of the Rochester top 100 companies have worked with me for strategic planning, primarily strategic planning and professional development.
That's great. Now, you've been involved, obviously, with the Greece Regional Chamber. But
I'm a member, very happy, proud member.
We are, and we're delighted you're a member. But you're also, you've been involved with like the Small Business Council,
yes,
with the Rochester Rotary. In
correct.
fact, I think you've
right.
been there recently. So,
right.
Yeah.
I've been a member of the Rochester Rotary since 2013. Great organization. When I started the business, I had to start figuring out how to find clients on my own time and get out there and network in Rochester. Being a transplant, I didn't have a network of people. What I did discover, however, is and I was just talking about this with someone this morning over a cup of coffee, there's a lot of business that goes on in Rochester that didn't rely on Xerox, Kodak, and Bausch & Lomb, and there's a whole economy that ran. I started attending Chamber of Commerce events and joined the Small Business Council. I became very proactive and involved with them and was on their board. I helped lead a strategic planning process for the Small Business Council of Rochester in 2005.
Wow.
And then I was asked to be on the board, and I served 2 terms there. That certainly gave me exposure, and I was collecting clients, if you will, and people getting to know me and what I could do for their organizations. So that helped. It was one of the ways I built the business, delivering presentations, just networking, then referrals and repeat business. And so I'm also on the board of the Greater Rochester Quality Council, another affiliate of the Chamber.
Now, what do they do? I hear about them, but I don't actually know much about them.
They're another member-based organization whose goal is to promote performance excellence in the Greater Rochester region. Its roots are in the old TQM, Total Quality Management. And we promote Lean and Six Sigma practices. We promote continuous improvement as both for culture and helping a company exceed its goals. And we have a great consortium of companies representing business, nonprofit, healthcare, government, and education.
Wow! So another big, broad footprint.
Right.
So now, when you were at Xerox, you were, that was really where you did a lot of what I would still think of as TQM work, total quality management work.
I actually started in sales. I started downstate, a Bronx boy originally. People say they can't pick up the accent.
They do?
No, you can't hear an accent.
On occasion, I can.
I started in sales. I'm an old guy, I guess. I started in sales in 1980 in Westchester County. Was a very successful sales representative for a group that sold copying and printing as a service. Was promoted to sales manager in the same operation, was a sales manager for 6 years. So I had 12 years of field experience and earned my MBA while I was working full-time. And then I moved to Rochester for promotion into marketing and field support inside Xerox Business Services, the division I had started with, and stayed here. I never left Rochester. So new opportunities and reorganizations, and life was tooling along nicely. It seemed in the 1990s, and then, as I mentioned earlier, things did change at the company. But I still had a great career. I moved into other groups and gained a lot of experience. I was exposed to continuous improvement and quality at Xerox.
I thought so. I mean, that was my memory, is that you had been, one of the go-to people in-house.
Right. But I had extensive sales and marketing experience previous to that. And sales, quite frankly, is it's not just personality. You need to be able to be someone who can follow process. Mm-hmm. A sales process is critically important, and self-discipline and the ability to be, stay focused.
So the sales, the marketing, and the TQM or Lean Six,
they're very
Sigma,
complementary.
they're all really coming to bear with what you're doing now, and it seems to me that they're all really very relevant to what you're going to be doing for the Greece Regional Chamber. Absolutely. Because we're about to embark on a training a training series. Right?
It's training and professional development with the focus on sales, and what we're really going to be focusing on strategic business sales training. Mm-hmm. And although it's not just for business people, we welcome people in nonprofits and other organizations to consider this as well. I worked with a nursing home, the Friendly Home, years ago. I provided sales training to their admissions team, for example. And
critically important.
They had utilized me for strategic planning facilitation and knew of my sales training abilities. And really, and when someone's evaluating, is this the best place for my parent? Right. You need to be able to apply consultative sales skills to help determine, is it the right fit for both?
Well, it's funny. I started life in what is very much a sales role. I was a headhunter, an executive search consultant in Manhattan, right? A very bottom-line oriented sales and sales goal-focused kind of a business. And I remember coming out of that and going to work in a nonprofit environment and realizing that a lot of people think that, nonprofits are not about money and they're not about sales. And, that's so not true. I've now spent a tremendous amount of my life in the public sector and the nonprofit sector. And, of course, there's a nonprofit mission, which is, very much to try to do something for the greater good. Mm-hmm. But even in a nonprofit, perhaps especially in a nonprofit that is so reliant on donations and grants and basically compelling people to support you,
sure.
You need to have some sales skills and some sales strategies in order to be effective and to bring in the resources that the organization needs. So as you and I were discussing this, I felt it was a critically important component of training for any organization and frankly, for an individual as well. Right. All of us at some point in our lives, but most of the time, for more than a little bit of our lives, are in a position where we need to do some version of selling.
Absolutely.
So I was really delighted that you were willing to do this with us and for us.
Great. Well, I'm pleased to partner with you.
Well, thank you. This is starting off in January of 2018, correct?
Yes, we're planning on starting on January 11th. We're going to run 7 sessions, a kickoff session the first week, followed by 6 sessions after that. So it's 7 sessions spaced out over 7 weeks, and there's a logic behind doing it that way.
Right. Tell us about the logic, because yes, I agree with you, but it may not be evident to everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, quite often people will sign up for that one-day sales training seminar, that half-day workshop, or the webinar that promises to change their lives and make them the world's greatest salesperson. But the reality is, we became who we are over time, and we really can't change from a half-day workshop. You can't have the time to internalize and learn and remember.
Right.
And if you're exposed to information just one time, you're going to forget it. Most likely 95% of it. A week or two later, you can't recall. A lot of people can't recall what they had for dinner 2 days ago. How are they going to remember all the stuff that they go through in a half-day or a one-day workshop? So my approach is different. What I do is, number one, you need time to learn. So by spacing out the sessions for 2 to 2.5 hours, spaced out once a week, what the participants learn in the sessions has a chance for practice and internalization. And in between the sessions, if they sign up for this, I should say when they sign up for this program, they'll also receive some very robust materials that are both printed and audio recorded, because they will do some work between sessions to learn through spaced repetition what they need to know to be successful in sales. And it's through that repetition that we can learn and internalize. How do we get good at something? Practice. How do you remember something? See it, hear it, do it multiple times. And furthermore, a lot of training is traditionally skills-based training. I had a lot of skills-based sales and sales management training at Xerox. But what goes missing in so many training events, I really prefer to call it professional development, is do people have goals? Can they create a goals plan to achieve those goals? Can they put the plan into action? So we integrate goal setting. We develop skills and knowledge in this program as well. But then I also help people understand the fundamental role that their attitudes play in determining how effective they'll be. Because there is that psychological component to anything we do, and our attitudes really drive our actions. Our subconscious attitudes are either helping us or they could be holding us back. So people learn about how do I make sure that my attitude and my thoughts are converting into the actions I want to accomplish in what I'm doing.
Sounds much simpler than it is to do, and again, critically relevant and really very interesting. And I can see it being applied across not just a broad range of businesses, but also other contexts in somebody's life. So
the model of goals, skills, knowledge, and attitude drives the improved results. That applies whether you're doing sales or leadership or management development. And if you think about how the successful people you've known, they generally have goals.
Right.
They know what they want to accomplish. They constantly improve, develop their knowledge and skills, and they have an attitude of drive, winning. They've developed the kind of a mindset that allows them to convert, what they want to do into action.
Which, as I said, sounds so much easier than it is to actually achieve.
Right. And again, you need time to do that.
Right. So we're talking with Mike Caceci, who is the owner of Excellerated Performance, and Mike is going to be doing, as we said, a 7-week training session or a professional development session. I think you said you prefer that, beginning in January of 2018 for the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce. It's going to be at the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce, and it'll be Thursday mornings. A great opportunity for business owners, but also a variety of people in a variety of roles in both for-profits and nonprofits throughout the community. And the way to find out information about this is to go to greecechamber.org. That's greecechamber.org, or to call 585-227-7272. You'll see Mike's photo, which you can't see right now, and you'll get a link to his website and his bio. And one of the other things, you mentioned this, but I just want to underscore it before we close, and that is you've got a lot of fantastic materials, not only useful as people are doing some digesting and internalizing and synthesizing between sessions, but it's something they can walk away with too. Can you just...
Yes, the materials are theirs. It's part of the program. So they have it. They're encouraged not only to read it and listen, but to mark up the materials, to take notes. Very interactive. So it's going to be it's an integral part of the process.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mike Caceci, Excellerated Performance. Thanks so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, Sarah. Great to be here.
Thank you. Don't go away. Coming up next is going to be Mike Trippany from WCI Realty. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Let me tell you about Dell's Market and Deli, located at 1799 English Road on the corner of Long Pond and English Road. Owners Patty and Bill Dell, their son Ryan, and friendly staff will always put a smile on your face. Their neighborhood store will impress you. Dell's Market and Deli has the very best breakfast sandwiches in all of Rochester. Fresh scrambled eggs, delicious grilled bacon or sausage patty piled high on a fresh DiPaolo hard roll, and then topped with melted cheese. The smell alone is to die for. This store has everything and features a large variety of local items such as Oliver's Candies from Batavia, Leo's Bakery cakes, pies, and cookies, a variety of cheeses from the Thousand Island River Rat Cheese Store, several varieties of pierogies from the Pierogi Guy, fresh pies from Special Touch Bakery and School of the Holy Childhood. Looking for lunch? They offer 2 to 3 fresh and hot homemade soups daily, and their subs are fantastic, especially the steak sub or homemade meatball sub. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. All of their salads and daily specials are homemade, and the choices are endless. They have you covered for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They have it all. Planning a party or get-together? Dell's Market and Deli offers an extensive catering menu to complete your entertaining needs. They have gift certificates available year-round. Stop in and visit Dell's Market and Deli today. Mention this ad and receive 10% off your next large sub-order. Once you visit Dell's Market and Deli, you too will say, I love this place.
Hello, my name is Art Wheat, CEO of Site Steward, where we make great stewards of your website. We're proud to bring value and support to many businesses and nonprofits in our community, including the Greece Chamber. What do you like best about your website? Is it optimized for Google? Is it mobile friendly? Can your team easily make changes on their own? If these questions make you think about ways your website could improve, then we would be honored if you visited our website at sitesteward.com or call us at 585-647-1101 and give us a chance to be great stewards of your website. Again, visit us at sitesteward.com or call 585-647-1101.
Rochester's home for talk. WYSL 92.1 FM and 1040 AM.
Our house in the middle of our street.
And we're back. I'm Sarah Lentini, the host of Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber, sponsored by Collette, our partner in travel. And I'm delighted to welcome our next guest, Mike Trippany from WCI Realty. In fact, their corporate headquarters is about a stone's throw from the Greece Regional Chamber's office on West Ridge Road. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. We're delighted that you're here. Now, I'm anxious to hear a little bit about you and a little bit about WCI Realty, as I'm sure our listeners are as well. You're a longstanding member of the Greece Regional Chamber and a major player in the real estate market in the region. Tell me a little bit about WCI and what you do in the territory that you cover.
Sure. We're a division of Wegman Companies, and no, not the grocery store. We have about a 40-year history, family company that does a lot of local development for nursing homes, senior living, those types of things. And we also build condominiums and townhomes and all around Rochester. And that's really how WCI Realty became about. So Wegman Companies, like I said, is about 40 years old, but about 5 to 6 years ago, they were building their homes and they were contracting them out to other real estate companies. And they decided, why continue to sub these out to other companies when we could do it ourselves? So we ultimately went out, our broker, Brett Waterman, went out, got his broker's license, real estate license, and started WCI Realty and started selling our own properties. That's how the company started, and then it's grown from there over the last 5 years.
I never knew that. I didn't realize that you guys, the evolution of the company, I really, because I've known Brett for a while, and certainly know him as a real estate broker. And so that's sort of a fascinating history. So are you still in the construction business as well?
Yep, we have quite a few developments, one in Canandaigua, one in Greece, and then also with our new ad of Rick Borelli, who's brought on about 3 new developments that are in Webster and Spencerport, Penfield. There's some new ones that are coming up as well.
Wonderful. Now, how long have you been with WCI Realty?
For me, I've only been there about a year and a half. I started with another company. I was corporate America for my whole life. I did a local company, Paytech, Windstream. I worked for them.
Oh, sure.
I had 200 employees that reported to me. I was a director. I was corporate through and through.
In what? But were you involved with corporate real estate or
telecom? It was just telecommunications, and I traveled all over the country. I did fiber installs for Sprint Cellular. So I did a lot of different things for the company, and then I just decided that it was controlling my life. Real estate was something I always wanted to do, and about 4 years ago, I just stepped off the ledge and said, you know what, I'm going to go do it. My kids are older. I have freedom now, and I'm going to be able to do something that I've always wanted to do. So I walked away from a huge corporate job and jumped into the life of real estate.
That's a great story. So what, that's obviously that takes a certain amount of courage.
Yeah.
But also it must have taken a relationship. Did you get to know, was it Brett that brought you in or?
Yeah. Well, it was originally one of our original partners that were there. I had a relationship with him through one of the charities I deal with. It's about caring for kids, a local Rochester charity. We're on the board together, and he was kept trying to say, come on over, come on over, come on over. And finally I did.
Oh, wow. Well, that's also very nice. So they really wanted you to join, and they talked with you over a period of time. And so if it's been, would you say, a year and a half?
About a year and a half.
Are you feel like it's a good move?
It was a great move.
Oh, terrific.
Ultimately, I became a owner or a partner in WCI Realty. So
yes,
for me, that turned out to be in real estate for only 3 to 4 years and be a partner in a brokerage is a big jump and something that not many people have the opportunity for.
Yeah, and we were just talking, in fact, about the fact before we even started this, conversation on air about How nice it is to, to take, even if it is a little bit of a plunge, to take the move and make the move to run your own business.
Yeah.
That's something that is ultimately very attractive to a lot of people. It's one of the great things about living in this country, quite frankly, is that, it's an opportunity that many people can take advantage of. Not everybody does, but something that you can take advantage of. So the other thing I was wanting to ask you about is what's happening with WCI Realty. Are you guys now going through another iteration, another evolution?
Yep, we did. About a year ago, we had some changes happen with one of our partners, left the company, and, took some people with them. But ultimately, it gave us a chance to reset. We were a young company growing very fast, and when you're a young company growing really fast, you just do what you need to do to get by day to day. And we were struggling with a lot of different things: systems, back office support. We needed more of it. But you're young. You run it very efficiently. You're trying to not spend a lot of money, and ultimately, what allowed us to do is kind of reset our thoughts and say, if we were to do it all over again, what would we do? What systems would we have? What marketing materials do we want to create? What people do we have to staff in order to make it more efficient for our agents, number one, and also to make a better experience for our customers and clients.
So are there some new folks that you're bringing in? Did you mention, was Rick Borelli one of them?
Yep,
Yes.
Rick Borelli and his team. And, he's a Greece resident. He's been there. He's been in the real estate business forever. He's been with his last company for quite a long time, over 20 years. And Rick sells a lot of. Rick was one of the people that Wegman companies used to give all of our sales to. So Rick was always had a relationship with Wegman companies, and it was kind of a natural fit. Eventually, we've been talking to him for a few years to come on over, and eventually, he said he wanted to. Finish out his career. Not finish out. I mean, he's still got a good amount of time left, but come over, work with WCI, and it was just a good fit for all of us.
That's terrific. So is this going to give you guys the ability to do some new things, or is it a little too early to either tell or announce those?
Well, it certainly expands our growth in new construction.
Oh, wonderful.
On the sales for new construction.
And is it new construction in a particular market still, or are you? Because that was part of what I was wanting to ask you is, are you focused on any particular part of the real estate market, or if I wanted to sell my house, could I pick up the phone and call you?
Yeah. Well, construction is just one small portion of what we do. I would say residential sales is the largest portion of WCI Realty right now. But we do have residential, we do have new build, and we do have commercial. So we also brought on Vince Petrone with Rick Borelli, and he's one of the larger commercial players in town.
Oh, wow.
So he's also going to be heading our Wegman company's acquisitions of all of their commercial properties and development properties around the country.
Terrific.
So,
around the country.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that your scope was that big.
Yeah. Wegman Companies is a national company, so they have properties all over the United States.
I did not realize that. Is the preponderance on the East Coast or
East Coast?
It is
mostly in the Ohio, Pennsylvania, those types of areas. But
fantastic. Now, tell us about the housing market, because this is it's something that's so important to the growth of the region.
Sure.
Obviously, we all have our individual interests as well. Anybody who's either looking to buy a home or possibly sell a home, is this a buyer's market or a seller's market?
It's transitioning, to be honest with you. It's been a seller's market all summer long. I mean, the prices that people have been having to pay to buy a house, it's been very competitive. Especially Greece. There was always competitive regions on the east side. Penfield, Webster, Pittsford, Brighton, those have always been competitive markets.
Okay.
But really this year, the last 2 years, Greece has really stepped up and become a competitive market where people are bidding at or above asking price, which doesn't happen in Greece. The sales cycle in Greece is usually a little bit longer than the east side. Greece, Gates, Chile, those areas are usually a longer time to sell houses, but over the last 2 years, it's really changed. And now it is competitive with, I would say, Webster and all the other regions in the area. But with that being said, I think whether it's the weather, whether it's a transition in the market, I'm not really sure right now, but it's becoming more it's slightly moving over towards a buyer's market, or maybe even in the middle right now. No one really has a competitive advantage. Houses are sitting a little bit longer, but when I say a little bit longer, they're flying off the shelf in a day,
That's
2 days,
in a
3
day.
days, right?
That is just amazing.
Hours, first
Wow.
calls. I mean, I sold probably 5 houses this summer within the first day of hitting the market over asking price.
Wow.
So it's, and it's common for the summer, unfortunately.
Right.
Unfortunately, for the sellers, it's great, but the sellers also have to go out and buy a house.
That's right. If they're staying in the region, and we hope they are, quite frankly.
That's exactly right.
If you're just joining us, I'm talking with Mike Trippany of WCI Realty, which is a major real estate concern, not just in the region, but across the country, based in Monroe County, New York. And I'm Sarah Lentini, host of Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber, sponsored by Collette. Now, speaking of people coming in and out of the area, is that what you're seeing? Are you seeing folks that are staying here? I mean, it's probably a little bit of all over the map, but are you seeing trends or more people kind of just transitioning to senior living facilities, or which is actually right up your alley, right?
There is a lot of that, and maybe it's my age too. I mean, my age of 40-something, we won't go exactly, but 40-something is where my friends' parents are starting getting into the position where they're going either downsizing their home, going into some sort of senior living, whether they're townhouses or something along that line.
Right.
But ultimately, I've been seeing a lot. I've been dealing a lot this year with people coming in for the U of R, for RIT students, those types of things, looking for housing.
Students,
yes,
young people,
students and doctors who are coming in for medical training that they're buying houses instead of renting. They'll buy a house for 3 or 4 years, rent it to a roommate, and then again sell the house a little bit later and make a profit on it.
Oh, that's wonderful. So very smart of them, but also an indication of what's happening with the housing market, that it is a good market.
Yep.
In order for people to know that in 3 years they will have appreciated enough to at least, to make a little profit and certainly not lose any money.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the case, 10, 15 years ago, right?
No, and Rochester in general is a stable market. Even when we had the big roller coasters, 2008, 2009, yes, we were affected. People bought less, sold less. But ultimately, the pricing, it does not go on those large roller coaster rides as they do as in California and the Midwest, South, Florida, those types of areas.
Yeah, which is one of the things that's really nice about Rochester. Its stability across a lot of different economic sectors. Now, just getting back to Greece, one of the things that I've certainly always accepted as I think it's the conventional wisdom is that the town of Greece has offered a fantastic housing value. Would you say that that's still true, and maybe that's even why the housing market is pushing people toward Greece?
I think it really is because you look on the east side. If you're looking to either build or buy a house on that side, you're getting $20,000 to $30,000 more house, we'll call it, on the west side.
That's what I've always heard. Yes.
Yeah, it's people are amazed. We live in this community of divided of east side, west side. And the east siders say, I can't go over to the west side. I grew up on the east side.
Right. It's crazy, by the way. I'm not originally from the area.
It is crazy.
Everyone I talk to asks, why is that? As if anybody even knows the answer. Yeah. I don't know what the answer is.
I think we all drive IROC Z's and have big gold chains on our necks on the west side. But the reality is, it's a great place to live. It's a great community. The support for the town of Greece is fantastic. The roads, the playgrounds, the Greece Town Hall, what they've done over there and those facilities with the library and the police station and all
there's a water
park and everything else that they've put in there.
But
they, like I said, I love Greece. There's no other place. I would never move to the east side just because I see better value on this side. But I've grown up here, so it's what I'm comfortable with
and it has a lot of natural beauty.
It does.
Which I think people either are unaware of or they forget.
Yep.
Over 8 miles of shoreline on Lake Ontario,
yep.
All kinds of parks, all
canals.
kinds of green space. There's an Erie Canal is in Greece. People don't realize that Braddock Bay is in Greece, which is a phenomenal environmental and natural resource, and biking and hiking paths and still quite a lot of farm community, right?
Sure.
Orchards and farms and a lot of land that is undeveloped, which is also a big asset, I think, for the town. It's got a big footprint, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's got a huge footprint.
Yeah, right.
It's unbelievably big. And, and that's when people try to compare Greece to other places, it's huge. I mean, the amount of residents in Greece.
Yes. So I am delighted that you guys are right down the road, and delighted that you're evolving and growing. And it's fantastic that you had made the decision to really make a commitment to an important growing real estate business in the town of Greece and in the region. Yeah. We really appreciate you and our membership as well as in the community. And I want to thank you so much, Mike, for coming in and sharing all that with us.
Appreciate you having me.
So we're going to take a break. Stick around. I will be right back.
WYSL Avon Rochester.
In 2018, visit exciting U.S. and international destinations with the Greece Regional Chamber in partnership with Collette. They've done all the planning and negotiating for you so you can put the fun back in. 2018 tours include America's Cowboy Country, South Africa, Spain and Portugal, and the Treasures of Tuscany. Visit the Greece Regional Chamber today. Go online or call 585-227-7272 to find out about their upcoming presentations. Take the trip of a lifetime. Again, that's 585-227-7272.
Considering a move to a senior community? Don't know where to start? Call our team of experts at The Village. We'll help you with decisions about independent living, assisted living, memory care, or enhanced. For a limited time, our Unity and Mill Landing campuses are offering our Easy Move Now package with big savings on rent, a free move management package from Grandma's Helpers, and a rent lock. Limitations and restrictions apply. Call 585-723-7442 or visit villageseniorcommunities.org.
We support our local, county, and state police. WYSL 92.1 FM and 1040 AM.
Welcome back. I'm Sarah Lentini, and you're listening to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce, sponsored by Collette. I'm delighted to welcome our next guest, John Adams, who is the owner of FranNet of Western and Central New York. Welcome, John.
Thanks for having me, Sarah.
So, John, FranNet of Western and Central New York is probably not going to be self-evident to anybody listening. Tell us what it is that the company does and that you do.
Okay, so FranNet is a franchise, and I own the Buffalo, Rochester, and Syracuse territory.
Okay.
What we do is we help people get into franchise businesses on their own.
Which I think is great. I mean, one of the things I said when I met you was I didn't even know there was anybody out there that, that would help you with getting into a franchise. So that's wonderful. Are you the only ones that do that?
Well, FranNet is the premier franchise consultant.
Wonderful. In the country?
We started the industry 30 years ago. This is our 30th anniversary this year.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. And we have people all over the country. There's 60-some offices and 125 consultants around the U.S.
Wow.
We're also in Canada, the United Kingdom, and Germany.
So really international.
International at this point, yes.
That's great. And are you involved with any of those international activities? Or it sounded like you're focused on Western and Central New York.
I know the people in those countries, and I know a lot of people in the U.S., but my focus is on Central and Western New York.
Wonderful. Now, when I met you, apart from being really impressed that there was somebody who even played this kind of role, helping people to get into franchises, to buy and run franchises, I was also really struck by the fact that there are, is it hundreds of franchise opportunities out there? How many are there?
There's about 3,600 franchise opportunities available in the United States.
Wow.
We work with 150, which works out to be about 5%. Mm-hmm. We're, like I said earlier, we are considered the top end of the industry. So we have opportunities to work with the best franchises, large-scale franchises like McDonald's and Burger King, the ones that everybody thinks of when you say franchise. They don't need people like us. Their problem is filtering the applications that they get.
There are many people wanting to learn about those franchises, right? Yep.
Right. So we focus on lesser-known franchises that can be every bit as successful as the large ones.
Can you give examples of some?
Well, in Rochester, my friend Tina Barkley has opened a Meineke on Carter Street near Ridge Road.
Certainly a well-known name.
Yep. Greg Sadwick is putting together a Mako operation on East Henrietta Road. I think he's just about to open.
Wonderful. Also a well-known name.
Yep.
Yeah.
And those are actually in the same franchise family. It's not a big deal, but they're brother and sister organizations.
Right. So quite the gamut. If you've got 150, right?
Yeah, we have automotive, we have home care, education, cleaning, homeowner services, business to business, retail, a little bit of food, not a lot, and recruiting.
Oh, and recruiting as well.
Yep.
Interesting. I didn't know that. So, so you've got this broad array, 150 different franchise opportunities. So, how do you connect with people that are looking to become franchise owners, and what sort of assistance do you provide?
So, the main way that I get contacts is by referrals.
Okay.
So, people that I've networked with, when they hear somebody looking for a business, they connect them with me. Or if they hear somebody who's dissatisfied with their
present situation,
right. They will send them my way.
Right. And does it cost money? Like if somebody wants to talk to you about franchise opportunities, do they need to pay for that? Or
I'm completely free.
Wow.
I get paid by the franchisor, much like a real estate agent.
Okay.
At the end of the process, when a business is sold to one of my clients, the franchisor pays a commission to FranNet, who pays a commission to me.
So that's terrific, though, for anybody who's looking to explore the possibility of owning a franchise. They can do that with you without spending any money. And
I meet with people every day in that regard. Met with somebody today. We talked about it. He has great skills, but he doesn't have the resources right now to do it. So we'll keep it in the back of our heads, and if in a few years he decides he wants to do it, we'll talk again. So
that's a really good point. How much money should somebody have at the ready to invest in a franchise?
Okay, when we talk about the initial investment for a franchise, that includes the franchise fee, anything they need to get up and running, and an amount of working capital to keep them with cash until the business starts generating enough cash to support itself. That number can range anywhere from, with our franchises, anywhere from $50,000 to over $1 million. So big spread. Big spread. Part of my job is to find the right franchise, and that's one aspect of it, is the financial requirements. In terms of the cash they actually need, if they can bring 20 to 25% of the initial investment from their own funds, there are lending sources available, most particularly Small Business Administration lending through local banks. So they don't need to have, you mentioned at the low end $50,000, for example. They don't need to have $50,000 in their own personal bank account. If they had, say, somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000 available, they could get into a $50,000 to $60,000 franchise. Oh, that's actually, relatively affordable. I mean, I'm not saying it's no money at all, but it isn't. That's already considerably less than I might have thought. So that's awesome. Go ahead. There are a lot of people in the Rochester area who are coming out of businesses. Unfortunately, we're still seeing businesses downsize. So if we see somebody coming out of a business, the kids may be done with college, they may be done with their mortgage. Right. Spouse is working somewhere and has benefits available. It might be an ideal time for them to take a look at a franchise business. Right. To get into. Especially because they built up all those skills working in whatever industry they were in over the number of years. So they're not completely new to the business world. Yep. Right. And that's what the franchisors look for, is transferable skills. Right. They don't necessarily want you to be an expert in the field. In fact, the staffing agencies don't want to talk to staffing people for franchisees. They want their franchisees to be business people who have great skills in terms of managing people, managing a business, promoting a business, getting out and talking to clients. And who determines if they have those skills? Is that part of what you do, is to do a little bit of an assessment? I do the first step on that. Okay. And I identify appropriate franchises for them. Then I turn them over to the franchisor. Okay. And the franchisor works through them. Every franchisor has a detailed process. It's 60 to 90 days usually. They start with, let's get to know each other. Right. Then we go into the legal phase with the franchise disclosure document. The franchise disclosure document is a federally mandated document, so all of them are in the same format. So if you want to look at item 19 in one, item 19 in another has exactly the same content. Well, that sounds synergistic. Makes it very easy to compare compare businesses. The next step then is to validate with the existing franchisees. So included in the franchise disclosure document is every franchisee, active franchisee of the company.
Oh, wow.
And anyone who has left the business in the last 2 years. So
it's almost like a reference list.
It is. And,
yeah.
And, the franchisors will give clients a list of franchisees to call. Mm-hmm. Depending on the franchisor, sometimes they really care about who they're connecting with. Sometimes they just connect them with their best franchisees.
Right.
In any case, I always have my clients go back and look at another group of franchisees that they pick out of the FDD,
right?
Who are maybe similar in background to what they are. If they were an engineer at work, we try to find them other engineers who've gone into the business. We look at similar demographic areas. So we talk to existing franchisees in Pittsburgh and Cleveland and Columbus and Cincinnati. We don't talk to franchisees in New York City because the economics are completely
very different. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
And then as a final step, I have my clients work with or talk with as many of the people who've left the business as they can.
So they get a realistic sense of what they're dealing with.
Those people aren't always readily available. But usually you find out one of two things. They were dramatically successful. They closed the business, sold the business, whatever.
Okay.
Or they failed miserably. It's usually those extremes. And the ones who failed miserably, you understand very quickly why they failed. And it's generally because they didn't follow the process.
So there is a process.
That's what you're buying when you buy a franchise.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
This is the process that's proven.
It's not just a brand. It's not just the process for making whatever it is, but it's a process for running the business as well, huh?
Yeah. The advantage of buying a franchise over starting a business from scratch is that you jumpstart the business by about a year.
Wow.
Because you don't have to invent the advertising and the back office processes and the call center.
And the logo.
And all the marketing. Right. You don't have to create all that stuff because it's already created and it's already in use.
Right. And it even has a visibility. It already has people know what it is. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wonderful. So you help at the initial stage.
Mm-hmm. And then I stay on as a coach throughout the process.
Which is amazing as well. And that still doesn't cost them anything.
Still all free. I have good relationships with a lot of the franchisors at this point. We just had we do 2 conferences a year. We just had our fall conference in St. Louis 2 weeks ago. And that's where we reestablished connections with the franchisors that we know and love.
Right, of course.
And the new franchisors coming in who, we're getting to know.
So you have, it's not a fixed number, that 150. You have people sort of coming in, or franchisors rather, coming in and out of that system, right?
We have franchisors coming in and out of the system all the time.
Neat.
I won't mention any names, but we had a franchise that was very successful for the last 10 years, leading seller virtually every month for 10 years. And they got in over their heads. Mm-hmm. They got too many people coming in, and they couldn't build these things fast enough. So we've dropped them actually from our inventory because we know if we take somebody to them today, they may not open that business for 5 years, which is not what we're looking for for our clients.
So is there sort of a home office for FranNet? Is there that's doing the recruiting for new businesses and the vetting for new businesses, franchisors to bring?
As a franchisee, that's one of the benefits of having the home office for me. The headquarters is in Louisville, Kentucky. I apologize if I said that wrong because I don't think I have it yet.
No, I think you do. I was like, what? Oh, yeah, Louisville.
Louisville. Our CEO is an industry veteran, very highly respected in the industry. And she became our CEO about 10 years ago.
That's a nice pronoun.
Yeah. So she's fantastic. But there is a staff, and then there's a committee of franchisees like me look at new franchises coming in.
So there's an opportunity for people in your role to participate at the, sort of the national level as well, including not just at conferences. So very cool. So now let's back up a little bit. How did you get into this in the first place? Because you didn't, this was not your first job out of college by any stretch, right?
Not by a long shot. In fact, I was 30 years or more out of college before this all came together.
Wow.
I've worked in several different industries in Rochester, banking, telecom, and software. After my last software job where I was VP of operations, I landed a couple of consulting assignments. And I walked out after the second one. I said, that's it. I am never working for anybody else ever again. We'll let that company remain nameless as well, although my friends will know who it is. And I started looking for a business to buy for myself.
Wonderful.
And so I looked at, first thing I did was call a friend of mine who had a franchise in the past. Mm-hmm. I knew he wasn't doing it anymore, so I asked him if I could take over his business. He said, well, they kind of closed, so this other friend of ours is selling her business. Why don't you go talk to her? So I went and talked to her, and that didn't work out. But I looked at a number of local businesses to buy, and then I came across franchises. I looked at a number of franchises to acquire, and then during that process, I met Ron Levecchi out of Buffalo. Ron was the FranNet franchisee at that time.
You mean he was in your present-day role?
Yeah, he's in my present-day role. And he was looking for somebody to cover Rochester.
Perfect.
I said, okay, I know how to do that. And so rather than buy a franchise myself, I went into this business. And then...
And he probably helped you. He was still there.
He mentored me. He taught me how to do it. I was an associate working in his organization at that time. Mm-hmm. January 1st of this year, I bought the business from him.
Oh, congratulations!
So I'm now the franchisee.
Wonderful.
Ron is phasing out. I have Cheryl Lickfeld beginning to work in Buffalo. She's doing a great job. I'm still looking for somebody to work in Syracuse.
Oh, that's important for people to know too.
Yep. Definitely would love to find somebody who is interested in covering the Syracuse market for us.
Wonderful.
If they start with us now, we can get them in and through training and started by the first of the year, which would be ideal.
Yeah.
So that my greatest need right now is somebody in Syracuse.
Oh, well, I didn't know you were looking for somebody, so that's just a bonus, I think, to let people know that there's what sounds like a great opportunity working in this region and working with you.
It is. It's an opportunity to own your own business, again, within a franchise structure. I'll be honest, the big stumbling point is it's 100% commission-based, and I don't pay any benefits. You run your own business.
Right. But if
I help you with it. We're, as the franchisee for the region, I'm looking at things like the website and how we drive traffic to our website, which a local marketing company is working with us to overhaul right now.
That is the thing everybody's doing these days, right?
Yep. And with that, I collaborate with Frank Dunn, who's the owner of the Hudson Valley and Albany region of FranNet. And together we call ourselves FranNet of Upstate New York. So that's kind of our branding across the state.
Now I'm understanding all the titles.
Yeah, I have a lot of I drove my attorney crazy with DBAs.
Right.
When we set up. But
yeah, you're covering a lot of territory.
We're covering a lot of territory.
Yep. And
everything from Westchester up.
Right. And the job opportunity, yes, it's 100% commission, so it might not be for everybody, but the flip side is if you're successful, then you reap the benefits. And for the right person, that's a great opportunity.
Yep,
yeah,
sky's the limit.
Yeah, wonderful. So how many people do you work with a year?
My goal is to place one person a month.
Oh, wow.
Not there yet.
That's a lot. Yeah.
To get that many placements, I probably need to be working with 15 people at a time.
Right. But I know you're doing a great job, and I know you've got a lot of people that are coming online and people that already have. Even though the event has already passed, it was the Greece Regional Chamber did an event where John was the facilitator actually, and it was called Business Success Stories, the franchise, aptly enough. And, and we had a wonderful array of panelists, and some of them were folks that you work with. Yeah, that was a very nice turnout, really interesting.
I mentioned the other people. I mentioned Steve Skews of JanPro, who was on that panel.
Right, and is definitely somebody that's, affiliated with you. So I just thank you so much. I think this is one of those areas of business that a lot of people have at least a passing curiosity about, and then they, kind of think about it and they don't know how to begin, and so they never think about it again. It's wonderful to be able to give folks in the listening audience a go-to and a resource, especially one that isn't going to cost them any money, for investigating some possible business opportunities. Could change their lives. Who knows? So if people want to get in touch with you, what do they do? How do they reach you?
They can go to our website, which is franchiseupstateny.com.
Wonderful.
Or they can contact me at jadams@frannet.com. FranNet has 2 N's in it. And or they can give me a call at 585-739-6625.
Beautiful. And if all else fails, I'll do the shameless plug. They can always go to the Greece Chamber's website.
They can.
Since FranNet and John are members, you can go to greecechamber.org and find them in our business directory. John, thank you so much for being here. Again, this is John Adams from FranNet of Western and Central New York. That's the one we're going to use this time as the title. And John, great pleasure to hear from you and to learn a little bit more about what you do. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for the opportunity to talk with your fans.
You're welcome. So that just about does it for today's show here on Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber sponsored by Collette. I'm Sarah Lentini, your host, and I so want to thank all of the guests that joined us today. Mike Caceci of Excellerated Performance, John Adams of FranNet of Central and Western New York, and Mike Trippany of WCI Realty. I also want to thank our presenting sponsor, Collette, our partner in travel. They've been a terrific supporter of the program, along with all the other sponsors that you've heard today. And I very much want to thank everybody who's listening for having joined us. And before I leave you, just want to make sure that you're aware that the Greece Regional Chamber offers a whole range of programs and services, including some training that's coming up in November. And of course, we are health insurance brokers, and we've got open enrollment going on right now, and we serve the entire region, and you don't need to be a member of the Greece Regional Chamber in order to get medical insurance through us. So we serve individuals, we serve nonprofits, we certainly serve businesses, we serve families, not just individuals, and we work with any number of carriers in the region and offer a very broad selection of plans. So if you have any interest, please reach out to us. You can check out our website at www.greecechamber.org. That's greecechamber.org. Or you can always call us at 585-227-7272. Or you can email us at info@greecechamber.org. We hope you reach out, and we certainly hope that you tune in to the next edition of Business Voice.
You've been listening to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce sponsored by Collette. The Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce serves businesses, nonprofits, and individuals throughout the region, focusing on promoting economic and community development and serving as the voice for business. The Chamber offers networking, education, advocacy, community events, and business services. It serves as an important platform for business leaders and citizens to come together in support of common goals.